but a pretty decent record against the upper half. And Bulldogs, man, from not going and winning a single game last split to this, what a glow up.
No, indeed, and Harold, like you were talking about some pre-split or like early split predictions that you were talking about, like you potentially want to bring up here, because I will be honest, like when people heard BDA Bulldog Academy, okay, they made it from relegation, like the stocks were not high on their predictions.
I mean, I think we described it as a Steve McQueen-esque escape at the time. Something out of the 60s, 70s Hollywood blockbusters, getting out of relegation by winning their very last series, basically. So, the glow up is insane. They've been playing well, and props to them. They've shown constant and a development that is rare to see in such a short time span, because it wasn't long between the start of the split and the relegation tournament. So to see them improve so much so quickly, it was genuinely impressive. So props to them.
Yeah, well, let's have a little look at the bracket, right? I do get what you're saying. I feel like there's been such a glow up for this team. Like they came through, they made their statement. Now this is what's happened so far. Just in case you guys haven't been around, I don't know what you were doing that was better than UKL, but you better suit up, better turn yourself back on to the UKL, because you can't be missing no more. Because now we've got Bulldogs versus Good Chi. We saw Absolved get knocked out by Venom Crest. We saw Ink Quick pick up their win against Broad. That was a very interesting game if you want to go back and watch the VOD. That was a bit of a heartbreaker for some Broad fans. And then Belfast Storm obviously picking up the win against Rise. So far, obviously, a few matches have been decided. Let's get into the teams today, though. Let's talk about Bulldog versus Gucci. Let's talk about the first team, Bulldog Academy. You know what? Like the coach says, Jolly. Hopefully not. Not that we're going to flame him, right? I have a lot of love for Jolly, but we saw that one draft. Please, never again. Temporal, talk to us about this team, though, because like you said, they're a team that pulled out some big wins.
Yeah, there's only so many times you can just jam Lilia and have it work. Sorry, Jolly, that's not draft strategy. The big one for me this split, on top of Mike occasionally getting the high midding absolute annihilation play, it has been Harry Carey moving to this top side. We're going to talk about it a little more in a minute, but he's offered so much more than Corky Jungle this time. He's been a backbone in the top lane to allow Bulldog Academy to come together and pick up those wins. DDD and Magpie have had 2v2 kills in the bottom lane towards the end of the regular season, so a bit of a threat and definite competition.
Yeah, and we haven't even unlocked Death yet. Maybe that's what we get for the playoff run. Maybe it's going to be a turn-up moment for them. Let's go to the other team, though. Let's have a quick look at Good Chi as well, though. And Harold, talk to me about this roster, because, you guys did correct me a little bit earlier in the green room. These guys had a phenomenal start to the season.
Oh, yeah, I mean, starting really strong, going 2-0, beating some of the teams that we thought were going to be the division beaters, taking down Broad and Friends, taking down Rise, and then you lose to Venom Crest, and then you lose to Weekend Bandits, and then you lose to Absolved. And you look at this team and you're like, okay, we've seen the highs, where's the consistency? But because they were so close to also making it to the upper bracket. And then they kind of dropped the ball at the very last second, but it's a roster with a few changed names since we've last seen them in the regular season. The standout one is in the AD carry position, which is honestly a bit crazy, because that is Split 1 MVP Rhythm. And if you were here in winter, you should remember what this guy was capable of doing on a very stacked Venom Crest roster, but still, he was the standout performer throughout the split for them. So we'll see how the adaptation comes through, and also, for sure, coming into the jungle, we saw him in the top lane for Good Chi last split, doing pretty well, playing some of the more weak side kind of picks, the Gragas, the Scion, but, apparently he's been a long time jungler. He kind of just switched to whatever role the people needed him to, and he went on to play top lane. Now he's back in the jungle. Apparently the team's just working a little bit better together. Qualzy, very talented, very solo QS player, but I do understand the motivation of going back to a little bit more structure, having something a bit more controlled.
Yeah, let's bring it back to us. Right, I'm already seeing in the chat Rob out, dogs up, which is pretty pertinent. Like, that's an energy that I might be feeling towards a little bit later, but we'll get to that in a minute. And I want to talk about kind of like the breakdown of the split of these two teams, because I do get what you're saying, Temporal, right? It is a little bit sad that we are going to be saying goodbye to one of these teams, because I feel like they've both been actually really good competition, and on a good day they actually have the stakes to potentially take it all the way, take on the top teams. And we're not going to get to see that from both of them, because one of them has to go. But if we keep the kind of the thought process of let's start with Bulldogs again, like, where do you feel like their strengths have been? Where do you feel like their weaknesses have been? Because obviously they did have a bit of shift in roster as well, which I do think played factors.
Yeah, Pivotal did start for this team and ended up moving over to a different league, I think in ERL. Congratulations. But Death came in and there was big Viego performances. And they've sort of shifted around and been adaptable in a way that's quite commendable. If we get sort of Mike popping off on mid, he's popped off on Nico, in addition to the signature Heimerdinger, which we should see banned every single game tonight. Not a hope in the world of playing that. Then we've moved to the bot lane most recently. I think we called out in the green room a Varus and Thresh combination that has been allowed, because Thresh normally doesn't 2v2 super heavy at the moment, to put the 2v2. Harry Carey has shone in the top lane relative to the jungle, where maybe he couldn't get enough going, couldn't bring the team together, but is now this singular threat.
Well, either you mentioned them, let's actually get a closer look at that one. Let's bring up a little graphique, you know, head-to-head here. Harry Carey taking on Loopy. Obviously, you know, Harold, you've talked a lot about Loopy in the past, but how do you feel like this matchup actually stacks up today?
Well, Harry Carey has had pretty good performances in the top lane, you know, but in the structure of both of these teams, the top laner is not the main focus of where the resources and where the play is going. Both of these players are kind of the supportive player, like, you know, to harken back to maybe a little bit of a different game. In Counter-Strike, you have support players and then you have the star players. You feel like these guys are the support players, ready to make sure that the carries can have their moment in the light, and more than happy to just take a backseat and make sure the team goes, like, the team works well. These are players that do not really, like, bring up, you know, we've had carry performances from both of these guys. You know, Loopy on his Urgot has had a few excellent performances, you know, especially even back when he was playing on Bandits. And Harry Carey has had very good, impressive performances, even on tanks, even like Cho'Gath. He's always impactful on all of these picks. But it does feel like Loopy, at least in my opinion, has a little bit more of that killer instinct when it comes to team fighting. You can kind of see a little bit more of the eye for the engage, eye for the target, kind of just looking to always find the play, always go for a little bit more. While Harry Carey is a lot more mindful about his positioning on the map, for example. He's a lot more about, you know, denying pressure on the waves, kind of creating a pressure point on the side of the map, even when he's playing something that you wouldn't necessarily associate with split pushing, maybe something like a Renekton or something like a Cho'Gath. He still manages to create pressure on the other side of the map to make sure that his bot lane or the rest of his team can approach a fight in a, you know, number advantage. So both of these players just really go at it with a team first mentality.
Do you agree, Temporal? Any more to add between the two?
I do to a degree, and I think sort of to lead on from what Harold said, I think they're both sort of engineers of their team's outcomes. They are not necessarily 1v1ing, but sort of being the bridge, being the win condition, being the Cho'Gath that can take out an AD carry and win the side and not be a vulnerability, and not have a Viego come and march over 3 times in a row, or an exotic jungler, as both of these teams have been prone to during the middle of the split. They're also very storied. Loopy and Harry Carey have been here for a whole time, and even though we don't know what next year brings, I think they represent a fantastic slice of the talent that has not only entered the Four Nations, but stuck around all year and grown and told their story.
Indeed, they have. Now let's get into the nitty gritty of it, right? Let's get into the predictions, right? Let's bring up the predictions on the screen. I don't know if we got everyone's predictions or we just got our predictions. Obviously, your boys got a back the team that's going to win, which is like Bulldogs. Clearly, like people in chat have to know. Got nothing to do with the fact that I'm about to be on a weekend with Jolly at all. You know, definitely not biased in my prediction here today. But you guys can speak on this one. Why do you feel like you are going to pick Gucci over Bulldogs to win today, Temporal?
I'm thinking that the roster moves at the last second should have brought the stability they've been missing. They have punched up into bigger teams throughout the split, and I think that's been the sign of the ceiling. Now with the pressure coming on, our format's a bit weird. Single round robin, best of one, does allow for a lot of chaos. I think Bulldogs struggle in Fearless, because if you do manage to sort of align the stars and get one of these champions they really, really excel on, it's immediately removed from you, and generating that advantage game after game is really difficult. Whereas I think Good Chi should be more amenable to different games each game.
And for you, Harold, before we go into draft this soon, but why are you picking Good Chi?
Good Chi had been missing a little bit of a pep in their step, a little bit of a tango, some rhythm, and now they seem to have found something that kind of just makes it tick. But yeah, honestly, in my opinion, right now the meta is so AD carry centric that usually when you have the better AD carry and somebody that is as well versed as playing hyper carries as Rhythm on your team, it's just a question of when and not how.
Okay. You're saying it. You're putting it up there. All I'm saying is Gucci on a 4 loss streak. That's what I'm saying. So they might be on a 6 loss streak now with a 2-0. Actually, ready to 2-1, but maybe it's a 2-0. Who knows? We're gonna have to find out soon. Draft should be coming up soon. Are there any picks that you think would immediately sway how you feel about this? Obviously, we all talked about the Heimerdinger potentially being a problem here, but Temporal, anything else that you maybe think could be a problem?
I kind of expect the Nico contest. Faulty's Nico, tons of fun to watch. That's on my mind. I think Ornn for both top laners, it kind of does rely on there being like Yunara or the hypers around on the map to sort of beat the bridge. Big names to sort of prop up tanks if we are going to go towards tanks. Will be interesting to see. But otherwise, control mages, Misfortune for Rhythm, 300 CS hyper vacuum, one-shot your opponents sort of day, perhaps. And also, I think we called out Varus and Thresh for Bulldog spot lane.
All right, well, we're not going to have to wait much longer. We are going to go into draft right now. Let's get this one underway. And we have gone straight through it. So, Urgot, Taric, Aphelios all banned away. The Heimerdinger, the Cho'Gath, and the Volibear off the map. Yunara picked up quick. And we're going to see the Varus and the Nico, like you wanted to hear about, Temporal.
That's a huge shock.
I mean, the Yunara first pick is expected. Currently, in my opinion, the best AD carry on the patch. The Varus takeaway, I think it's more of a attack the champion pool and less attack the lane kind of pick. You're more thinking, they've taken the Yunara, we're going to take their second strongest laning champion and take it for ourselves in the Varus, which is always going to give us some pressure in the bot lane, and then we're going to take the Nico. In the meantime, on the side of Bulldog, if in doubt, press the Xin Zhao button. The champion is still extremely good, especially in organized play.
Yeah, the Central of Demacia, as we could see, looking a little bit prettier. There have been some little tweaks to his gameplay, so let's keep that one under the microscope as the mid 2v2 comes through. Mike's Ari, pretty good. Not quite Nico and Heimerdinger, but he's had some moments, and that's what we look towards. If I was Good Chi here, you have to think about breaking that Nico flex, whether you want that in the bot lane, a sort of super suppression for Chompy that just lets him attack DDD constantly on the Yunara. Do you want to break mid here? Pick up a mid laner? I think I'd be leaning towards it. Now that the 2v2 is out, and then banning to defend top.
I was going to say they could also just lock in jungle here and keep it a little guessing, which, obviously does have its risks in itself, but I guess it depends how much they want to play for Loopy to get this counter pick. Obviously they do have R5. I don't know if they want to spend all their resources to get, like either a support or mid counter pick. Maybe they want to invest in it just so that they have the best lane possible that they could, but I do feel like there is a world where for sure we're going to be seeing like a top lane counter pick here, Harold.
Yeah, I think with the Bard ban going through, it's probably going to be support blind on 4 and a counter pick on 5. But The Trundle pick makes a lot of sense. Probably one of the best heads-up matchups into the Zinzao together with Jax. Just it's kind of silly what Trundle does right now in the game.
It's been a pick for these teams and a few others. So not a huge shock to see him prioritized. And yeah, it's a style of gameplay that we might even see that flexed up into top. We'll keep that three-way in mind. Tryndamere out, so there's potential. There's potential.
Yeah, Trundle just keeps on clubbing, and we're not talking Tiger, or if you're too young for that, Prism.
Oh gosh, poor taste. Where's the pop world, huh?
I'm not gonna lie. Like, if you're an audience member and you're like, "What's Tiger?" Just don't chat to me, whatever, please. Thank you. But either way, moving back to League of Legends. So we're going to go on to the fourth pick there. Rel banned out as well. So a lot of engage taken off the table from Bulldog here, which I'm interested to see how that one flows out to, because I'm kind of like, do they not want a little bit of engage for Yunara? Maybe they actually want to play something a little bit disengaged. We'll find out soon. The Scion Hover, I'll be honest, I don't necessarily want to see it. Surely they're not saving. Well, I guess it is a tank. It is loopy. It does go pretty well.
I think with the Volibear Cho'Gath bans, this is kind of propped up, right? I think it's a kind of throwdown of the gauntlet for Loopy, saying like, even if Harry Carry picks up something they're comfortable with, it won't be the Cho'Gath Scion. We've seen it all split. It won't be a Volibear that overwhelms. You're going to have to come up with something a little bit newer.
Yeah, I mean, Loopy on the Scion, praised him a lot when I used to be his coach, but the pick is just stable enough. But the answer is going to be the Shen, one of the best anti-tank tanks right now in the meta. But Scion, I would argue right now, is probably the best tank in the meta. Even in bad matchups, this champion doesn't really care. He kind of sits there, eats minions, and at one point he will one-shot your AD carry because he's landed a full charge Q.
I wonder if, like you mentioned, it's going to be Lulu or whether it's going to be Blitzcrank or something similar for this bot lane. Rakan, best of both worlds. Don't mind it. The Nico can really 2v2 that, even after attention from the balance team. It's hard for Rakan to get through this unscathed, and I think Gucci are going to be rubbing their hands, licking their lips. They're looking to get into this 2v2.
I genuinely think this should be a Silas pick. There's a lot of great ultimates to take. It's a lot of the fight together, but ends up going to
heavy
be him
for sure. Tilly is in a similar niche, right?
I was kind of thinking Lissandra, but it's not going to be that case. I feel like it would have gone pretty crazy into this enemy composition. But Talia goes to fit as well. Good against the Shen, good against the Ahri, good against the Xin Xiao, and I guess Yunara as well. Pretty much everyone actually has a dash on Bulldogs. Therefore, Talia does work well. Am I happy with it? I'm thinking about the possibility of a team fight, right? Obviously, yes, you have the Scion for the engage, so they do have that one ticked off. Also, a lot of potential building here. You've got the pillar, you've got the wall coming out, right? So they can kind of fence people in, and a lot of poke. I'm just thinking, when it comes to just pick potential, Bulldogs have so much pick potential, and it's, for me at least, it feels like a lot of poke potential coming out from Gucci, unless we see Loopy do absolute bits in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be on Loopy to create a lot of space in the fight, but big thing that's standing out to me is if Magpie ever has flash up, it doesn't matter if there's a Talia E down. There's no way to create a snap space between your carries and the enemy engage. And that's what I'm currently looking at the G composition, and I'm like, if they ever get past your front line and they've managed to find a window to engage with Spirit, with Stan United and with the quickness and the grand entrance, you're kind of caught in a really bad position, because then you have to fight inwards, and you don't get to play the standing fight. You don't get to play the front to back that you want to play, because you're getting basically rushed by every angle. So
there's the two big weaknesses, right? Gucci have all this control the space, control the zone, and Bulldogs do have the speed to come over the top of it. You mentioned the flash from Rakan, similar for Shen. Ahri and Zinzao can tease out the stones and make moves around it as soon as you can. There isn't a lot on Gucci other than a Nico ult from their own backline, which is a bit premeditated, to actually be able to play that one out in a successful manner. And then from Bulldogs, if this Shen can't be in two places at once real good, Scion is coming for your Nexus, buddy. It's a matchup I like to play, But you can't be kidding yourself and dipping away to other lanes at a moment's notice, or the Scion will make his bed in top lane and go straight through some towers.
No, I'm interested to see how it plays. Now, obviously, draft night and everything, it's all about how people perform on the Rift, and I feel like that's where it's really gonna take its shape. And I will say, like, we talked about the top lane, we talked about the setup, right? Obviously, this is going to be quite pivotal. We are going to have to see how Harry Carry pilots around this Scion, right? Becoming that push factor, becoming that split push factor. But like you said a little bit earlier, Harold, I feel like this bot lane is the key. Like, especially for Bulldogs, they've set up so much for it, right? The Shen, the Ari to roam, the Xin Zhao for the ganks as well, all onto Yunara. Like, there's so much potential for them to get this lead here and then really just run through the game. Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, if Yunara is able to just kind of jump around, move, do their thing, and you don't get the Chains of Corruption, or you don't manage to get a stun from Talia, like, how do you actually lock this ADC down? Okay, apparently you got cut off. They don't want to hear what you have to say. After you pick Good Chi and then this draft, they're cutting you off, Harold. It's game over. They said it's my time to talk about the fact that Bulldogs are going to win the game. Yes. I don't know how close we are to actually being into game, but all I'm saying, it's time. It's time for Brackish Brit and Rory to take us through game one. Let's get this series underway.
Hello, yes, thank you, Jay, and the desk. I am Brackish Brit, and I am indeed joined by one of my very best friends in the whole wide world, my cat Beck. And Rory's here too.
Yeah, hey Brackish, look, I'm very excited for today's matches, right? Brand new patch, a lot of champion changes. Honestly, I was begging for a cane top into that Scion in the green room. I was so excited.
There was a sound of, it sounded like genuine anguish when the Shen got locked in.
Yeah, but then again, that's just normally when I see a Shen, regardless of pro play or solo queue. So here we are, folks. New patch means we get into games a lot faster, which means you're gonna see Brackish and my mugs a lot less, hopefully. But you know,
the best, really.
It's really interesting, these stakes, right? Because we've seen all these new players come into Good Chi. And
this is showing that I predicted Bulldog. That's not right.
No, that's just Bulldog versus Good Chi. That's not a prediction.
Okay.
That's just in case anyone forgot in the last 30 seconds we've been on screen.
Yes, this is the match that is occurring.
Yeah,
I did predict Good Chi.
Yes,
here we go.
So did I.
Thank you, production. Sorry, I thought you were hanging me out to dry there on my predictions. Much love to the Bulldog, but Good Chi, especially with the addition of rhythm. I'm very excited to see, especially since I've spoken with hashtag Rob out a couple of occasions about a level of strategic depth that might be added to the team as a result of this change.
Yeah, 100%. Like, rhythm can bring so much knowledge, especially because First Dragons are so important in the current meta. I feel like whoever gets First Dragon is in such a big stake to win the game, because remember, if you're bringing people in for a First Dragon fight, you can also influence where Atakan's going to be. So you can start prepping quite far in advance. So if you have that control over the bot lane, you can choose your fights better, and then you can start stacking up those objectives.
Well, we'll see if one of these teams, and which of these teams, can lock that down early and potentially pave their way to progressing in the playoffs. We are on to the Rift for our first game of the day. And Mike, I admit, we obviously, we know him as a Heimerdinger. He basically never gets that champion. We know him as an eco.
Yes.
That got stolen away by Good Chi. The Ari is, I think, alongside the Orianna, was one of the things we sort of expected him to go onto, and it provides a lot of pick potential from the side of Bulldog. I also like the way they've got like lots of ways for Magpie to effectively springboard off his melee teammates to get engages.
Yeah, fella's going to be looking like a gymnast in the mid-late games. We do see Faulty falling to Ari, especially the end of this split, specifically, because teams finally realize that they can ban Nico. Like, this is a champ who's available in that phase. He was getting it filtered through so often at the start. I was
Pretty
kind of
much
pulling my
every
hair
game.
out a little, but there is a ward on Raptors, and yeah, so I'm expecting Mike. Got a few games of Ori under his belt now, and I'm expecting him to really be able to put up a fight into this Talia.
And Kurosh is someone that deserves mention as well. Has had a couple of fantastic performances throughout the league stage. Loopy not having the best time in the early trades. Seems that Harakari just being able to get off the graphs a little bit more consistency at the level 1, of course. The Twilight Assault really does help him in doing that.
Yeah, that's just Shen. At level 1, you can walk at the enemy. Your passive shield just enables you to take such good trades. Speaking of good trades, we're seeing the best support in the game, Nico.
As the desk highlighted, right?
Like,
The level 1 was never going to be particularly easy. Like, Rakan is one of those quote-unquote melees. Like, you've got slightly longer attack range, but it's not that long that you are going to be able to do anything crazy at level 1 into a truly double ranged.
Yeah, because it's interesting because Rakan into melee champs can bully because he's got that little bit of extra attack range. Just Loop is getting chunked quite heavily. Ooh, taking a very bad trade there into Harry Carry, but because Nico's Pop Blossom is so oppressive, once she gets bush control, you can't really do anything to stop her throwing out abilities.
Yeah, it's like Doom bots. There's the curse that just throws Teemo shrooms out of every brush.
What? I haven't rolled that one yet.
Yeah, it just randomly throws Teemo shrooms out of every brush, and they can bounce off each other.
I mean, Teemo shrooms can do that normally.
Yes, yeah, but
For what
I
it's
didn't
worth,
realize
but
that they would
yes.
add that tech as though a Teemo had actually thrown it.
Yeah. Have you run into the Doombot Cho'Gath yet, who's just called Jez?
Jeff.
Oh, Jeff even, yeah.
My name's Jeff. Yes.
Bringing out that banging 2014 reference there, Brackish.
Mate, like 2014, that was my OG casting era. If you know the backstory, the backstory, if you will, then yeah, I've been around.
Well, no one says you're not a man who's up to date with current trends. We're going.
I think I'm not. No, you're gonna have these outdated memes, and you're gonna like them.
Yeah, you're not the kind of guy who would let the word Labubu leave his mouth. That's all I'm gonna say.
No, definitely not.
As we've seen the first bases come in from the junglers here, just sticking to their sides, but we are seeing Foreshore looping round, possibly going on Harry Carry as Death comes in for the lane gang.
I mean, if you're gonna catch rhythm like that, then easy enough setup. The jump forwards in the first blood, easily secured by Death. It's a glow up for Xin Zhao, and it's a great start for Bulldog Academy.
And an absolute diminuendo there for Rhythm. Just getting really punished. His flash, not enough. Like, getting hit by that initial Rakan W seals your fate immediately. Yes, the XP seemingly not even going to be caught by the Gucci support here. Nico favoring base instead of all this XP. That's on to no, cancel that in the end. Is going to pick up the XP. I'd be very shocked if you're just going to let a cannon and 2 waves go for free.
Yeah, that's a lot of XP just to leave lying on the table.
I'll tell you what, even though Sun Zhao's kit didn't get changed with the recent update, still pretty strong in terms of jungling. The fella, now that he's got a kill under his belt, doesn't have to be so worried about running into a Trundle in a Dark River. If I'm for sure, I'm kind of miffed that wasn't able to pick up anything from that gank on Harry Carry in the top side.
And now they've completely switched it up. They've sent DDD and Magpie towards the top lane, so abandoning the early Drake perhaps, but throwing a bit of a curveball at Good Chi and seeing how they'll respond. It seems like they're sticking with standard lane assignments, which means that DDD might be in line for 1, maybe even 2 solo plates. And Harakari, he's not going to struggle all that much. He's got the health, he's got the shielding from the key barriers, and he'll be just fine.
Yeah, Spirit's Refuge also going to be able to dodge a lot of those Varus autos that he'll just be trying to tag. And especially with Varus getting a few buffs to his W, that damage does stack up over time if you're just trying to hit CS and he's free striking you while you're under tower.
Definitely. As we're saying, Gucci wanting to prioritize this early Drake. Let me see. For sure, plus Kurosh. Going to be able to secure that one. No fuss, no bother. Death is making his way towards bot lane once again to try and move some of that pressure away from Harakari. But, I mean, they're doing just fine. Although, as I say that, it's actually a 20 CS advantage for Rhythm in the lane. A knock-up onto
Yeah, that's
Lupi, but
wild, right?
how much damage are you doing to a Scion realistically? He's already got the steel caps.
And the tank on the other side is not having as much of a good time. Harakari does have the TP,
Well.
but another plate is falling. Lupi doesn't really care, right? Yunara does not have tank shredding capabilities in the early game. As for sure,
Shaw's contesting. He's got the level 6. If he can
yeah.
stop this red buff from being picked up, I think that just denies the level 6 straight up away from Death. He is going to be able to pick it up, I believe. In fact, no, it was For Sure that gets it. Flashes away. Harakari not able to land it, but the follow-up from Mike Will ensure the kill. The TP actually came down. Magpie switching into it with the Unsealed Spellbook just to ensure the kill was secured. I'm pretty sure it was pretty secured, but, you know, dotting I's, crossing T's.
I don't mind at all, especially with Spellbook. Like, you just want to be cycling through those summoner spells as fast as possible anyway. Yeah. Mostly because the cooldown and the lockout gets shortened every time you swap. So it's really nice if you do swap to TP to immediately use it.
Right now, Magpie just going to roam the rift a wee bit. You see that the Void Grubs have just spawned in. For Sure is already here, but some steps do need to be taken before he actually starts those up. We need waves pushed in. In fact, For Sure going to head towards top lane, ensure that Rhythm and Chompy have the advantage there before they start this one up. Death, however, is lurking in his own jungle right now. Magpie keeping a watchful eye over the proceedings. It looks like Bulldog Academy making the call. They are going to ignore the Void Grubs. So a full set of 3 given across. 2 points towards the Feat of Strength also. 1 more objective, and that will be locked in for them. Bulldog Academy, of course, currently look in line to get the Feat of Warfare, though, with the 2 kills up.
Yeah, I just want to mention Kurosh has kind of been completely dominant in this early game, right? Has it been able to move first to Dragon and Grubs, has the level up on Mike. We haven't seen much of this lane, so I can't really pinpoint where it's all fallen apart for the Ahri. But generally, Ahri Talia, the Talia is a slight advantage, sure, but Ahri should be able to counter push the waves pretty well using that Q.
This is kind of a Kurosh lane. It's the small incremental advantages. Death making his way towards the top side. Harakari is also in the vicinity. Magpie was looking for an opportunistic engage, but seems that Rhythm and Chompy were not ready for, or were not vibing with that particular beat.
I should note that because Magpie did TP down to the earlier play, DDD, I believe, is up a bit of experience onto this Varus. We'll see if it plays out when the teams actually coalesce around 50 minutes anyway for more objective fights, whether that can make much of a difference. But yeah, as you see, DDD now hitting 7, while the Varus is still at level 6. Magpie now, possibly catching out Kurosh, but no, Kurosh, really nice, doesn't go for the greedy base. Instead, For Sure is spotted on his blue buff.
Magpie was also spotted out. There is a Scuttle Crab to be picked up. Of course, maybe you want to leave it till just a little bit closer to the Dragon Spawn. Just over a minute away as it stands, as DDD going to deny Lupi's back. With the TP, though, it's not really going to affect his presence on the map.
Not at all, really. As I was a bit worried where the bot lane for Gucci were going right there, as I saw the Varus and Nico sending it straight down mid lane. I was like, it's very early to go to solo lanes on side, but no, they end up in the bottom lane, swapping once more. So we have everyone where they should be, right? If I'm a top laner, I don't want to be being sent down bot. I'm sorry, it miffs me. I get very vexed when someone says, sorry, top laner, you're not on top lane anymore. I know it happens a lot in pro, it still gets on my nerves.
Well, as that everyone as assignments would like them to be. We see once again, Gucci still looking to leverage early dragon pressure. They have the vision advantage, but it's not comprehensive at the moment. And they keep catching on to rhythm. This can't keep happening. Pop Blossom has to be used. As the run out will occur.
But that's massive, right?
They're doing okay, but flash burn from Rhythm, heal burn from Chompy, and the dragon fight has not started yet. Kurosh has also lost about a third of his health for sure, though. Feeling like he just wants to run this one in. DDD gets the stand united.
Here comes the Shen.
Sure. Has to flash away, make sure that the Shadow Dash does not find its mark. Magpie, very, very low, should be able to just grand entrance out the back. In comes the Scion, though.
Whiffs.
Not going to find anybody, however. That is 5 members of Good Chi, all concentrated in the bot side river. Magpie is too low to stick around. DDD is too low to want to step in, and so the first feat of strength will be secured, and it will be in favor of Good Chi.
Absolutely, and for sure that I thought was going to get seriously caught up in that fight, because I saw the Shen. I was like, Shen can arrive much faster than a Scion can in this situation. But I don't know, For Sure just pops ult and heals so much, especially with that frozen domain down, boosting up all that healing. They can just walk out. I was so convinced, Bulldog Academy, maybe they can finally get themselves on the board for objectives, because you've blown the Varus ult, you've blown the Nico ult. Those are the biggest ults in your toolkit for early skirmishes. In the end, it just didn't really matter. Bulldog Academy are just down on items, and their champions haven't hit their breakpoint yet.
We're not really struggling, though. Like, there is an entirely inconsequential gold advantage for Good Chi right now. They've got the grubs.
2 dragons.
They haven't been able to do much with it yet, though. They've not picked up, like, I don't think they've picked up any plates since that went down.
Fair. Very fair, but don't forget, we're also on the fight for first tower.
Here we are.
Because Bulldog Academy, they only need 1 more kill to get their feats of warfare. Actually, they're looking for it right now. Faulty going to be caught up here.
That is a big catch. Ooh. Right onto Faulty, as you say. The CC is great from the Good Chi bot lane. Death now looking to walk this one out. Never mind. He decides he's turning this one back around. It's going to be Chompy targeted and taken down. That is the feat of warfare secured for sure.
No flash.
Looking to zero in on Magpie, but he is too damn slippery. Rhythm going to be chased down and fall down. Loopy putting the damage onto Magpie, who will fall. It's now Kurosh teleporting in to join the play. Gets the knockback. The flash from Death, though, getting over the decimating smash. The damage coming back for sure after the flash from Harakari will fall down. Death will also meet Death. Loopy still looking for Harakari, but decides better of it. And all that while, DDD has been left completely alone in the bot lane.
He's Tiamat, right? Oh. He's going in. He's just being annoying.
Yep. Just Shen things.
Yeah, so as
chaotic as heck.
Yeah, very chaotic. As we predicted, feats of warfare do go over to Bulldog Academy, only needing 1 more, as we can see in the replay. Yeah, Mike just gets destroyed by the Nico machine.
Magpie?
Has the TP?
No.
Oh, can't get to it.
I mean, you have to stand at the Hex Gate for a little while, and they're never ever letting you get away with that.
Yeah, absolutely, but I'm pretty sure.
Mike gets caught again. Chompy seems to have Mike's number, and there is a Shelly available now. We were talking about first dragon pickup, first tower pickup, sorry, being so crucial now, of course. Whoever takes that first turret will get the feats of warfare for their team. DDD taking so much poke from Kurosh, but maintaining that level of respect. He knows Death's nearby, so he's never going to put himself in a position where the Xin Zhao can do anything to him. First turret actually gets picked up in the mid lane. Rhythm getting that down. For sure, healing up with the subjugate, not going down. The TP coming through as Loopy looks to join. He does not have an ultimate available. Chompy flashing away. The smash will land. You've got so much Scion health to get through if you want to do that damage, especially with the Unraveled Earth on top as well. Forshaw still dodging and ducking back and forth. Mike trying to find the damage. The knockup onto 2. Death falls alongside Mike. It's a double kill for Rhythm. The new addition is vibing. They are playing their own music in this game 1.
And to that music, For Sure is just dancing over Bulldog Academy there, living with less than 100 health for so damn long. And honestly, if you watch that fight, Cool Rush is putting out so much consistent damage just with the max range volleys. Bulldog Academy, they can't do anything in that situation, right? They're trying, but once they blow the Xin Zhao E and the Shen E, what are they left with? They're just kind of standing there hoping that Gucci walk into them. And Forshaw is able to dodge out the critical skill shots and live. Loopy is just a beefy boy on the front line who is never going to die, let's face it. And at this point, I'm pretty confident saying Nico has done more damage to the Yunare in this game.
Just by the positioning of Chompy, he's made it so difficult for DDD to execute on any of these fights. We see a third Drake being started up,
Another
TP coming from Harakari. We take a brief moment. We'll go grey for a second, but return in due course. Wait to see. Harakari comes in, immediately locked up. The jump forwards as well. The Shen's just going to get melted. Death is trying to put damage down onto Forshaw with the help of DDD, but it's just not enough. The rest of their team is falling to pieces. Sure, the Trundle dies, but it's a triple kill for the Varus. DDD trying to do what he can, but at the end of the day, all he can do is DD die. It is a soul point for Good Chi. Rhythm is consistently finding the positioning where he can attack unmolested, and he is doing so much work as a result.
That TP sucked. Right? That really just... And I've got the W, I'll just TP 5 of them. No, sorry. No, that's not working out. Your team is behind quite largely in gold. We were told there was going to be a brief pause, so don't worry, folks. It seems we're coming out of it now.
We're thinking.
Well, we can hear it at least, so I hope you don't have to play-by-play the sound cues anytime soon. But, yeah, Good Chi are just running away with this game now. I believe that's their 3rd dragon they picked up. Yeah, 3rd dragon. They're on an express train to Soul Point.
They're at about a 6k advantage right now as well. So I was talking about inconsequential gold leads. Gucci have very much turned that one around. Magpie trying to move around the rift, trying to get an engage angle, but cannot do it because of the Unraveled Earth. However, there are so many bodies in the bot lane right now that I think Kurosh, his death is pretty much a guarantee. It's just how long he can take for that to happen. He's got the lockdown. The damage is there as Chompy comes in, stops Death from being able to escape. The jump forward cannot find the taunt onto the Nico. And look who's here. It is Rhythm looking to knock down the last couple of autos to secure his 6th kill as we reach the 20-minute mark. Oh, look at that. Atakan for free too.
Brackish, I'm going to be honest. The way Bulldogs are playing right now stinks of desperation. Right? You're being impatient with your Rakan ult, so you're getting caught up and stunned out of your grand entrance. Then you're 3-man tower diving the Talia when you know that the Varus and the Nico aren't on vision. Magpie has a smite.
He's a canary in a cage. Trying to stand in a position he has no right to be, corralled, locked down, and killed before he has any chance to disrupt the Atakan take. It is a clean sweep on the objectives right now. No towers have been picked up by Bulldog Academy as yet. Mike is going to try and bait Kurosh into death as in comes Loopy to try and finish off the play. The flash away means he will be able to escape. He's got a charge on the Spirit Rush also. The chase down will not come through. Death able to take down Kurosh and keep his mid laner alive.
Look, even though it was a nice pickup, Mike's playing on the edge right now. And look, in our predictions, I had Bulldog Academy winning 1 game. J Real had Bulldog Academy winning 2. The way they're playing right now, it's going to be a 2-0 to Good Cheese. So Bulldog Academy really needs to just have a succinct form of communication within this team. Because right now, they're kind of throwing a lot at the wall, and not much of it sticking.
Might have lost Rory. It's fine. We can keep rolling. 21 and a half minutes on the Rift right now. As I said, 6,000 is roughly the gold advantage.
It's got 37 stacks,
Chi.
Brackish.
And you can look at the scoreboard and see where a lot of that has gone. Kurosh, while he doesn't have the most star,
I don't know about you, but I can't hear Brackish right now.
Kill death ratios,
so,
there's 10 assists.
Until I next hear from him,
amount.
And
you can only see,
like me,
unfortunately. He knows he doesn't need to be the main damage threat.
Onto the bot lane tower. We're speaking over each other. Okay, there's a bit of an issue. Brackish, I'm going to let you take it away.
In fact,
okay, it seems we fixed it now as the fight's going down in the bot lane. That's going to be taken out there as Loopy is just tanking up everything. Mike's going to hopefully try and get out, but Forshaw hits him with the slow. 1 more spirit charge left, but the pillar is up as Mike trying to get out, but no, the pillar comes up and Forshaw claims that kill right there. And once again, Good Chi able to pick up more and more of a gold lead. We're having a bit of an issue, folks. So yeah, you may have heard us talking over each other. Now it's just me. We're hopefully fixing it as soon as possible so you can all hear Brackish's dulcet tones as that bot lane tier 2 tower goes down. And Magpie, once again, you're not where you should be, fella. You're away from your team. Once again, another death towards the Rakan. And 8 deaths. That's quite a lot, considering the game has only been 23 minutes. So we're going to go into a replay here. Started up by Korosh, of course. And the power of this Neeko is just so insane at this point. The Poke Virus just coming in over the top. There's just not enough defensive stats available on Bulldog Academy's side right now to be able to withstand this virus and Neeko, and there's not enough damage to kill them either, so it's a pretty rough situation coming through. If you're a big Hubris fan, like I am, you're spoiling that 45 extra AD for the Poke Virus right now. Absolutely absurd levels of damage come through, paired with that Hextech Soul. Good Chi. It feels just like a matter of time. Brackish! Brackish, are you there?
I'm here. Okay. Well then.
Well, let me fill you in while you are.
I've seen everything. It's
You've
great.
seen
I've
everything.
It's just Discord that broke.
Don't you just love technology? Yeah. So, Good Chi got the Hextech Soul. They're now sieging this mid tier 2. I'm expecting. Oh, big Neeko engagement just doesn't hit.
They're trying to find the engage now. After Pop Blossom misses the TP coming in, Kurosh was not there, but Mike is all alone on the backside. Harakari has to use the Stand United to join in, but has to immediately leave. Death cannot get out either, and Forshaw is going to be very interested in getting Harakari away from the rest of his squad. Oh, look at that. 24 minutes and 55 seconds. They can step away just as the Baron spawns. What is it with Good Chi and taking fights that lead to exact objective spawns?
It's almost like they have a succinct plan upcoming. I'm not sure if that's all their script work I know they've been putting in, or if that's what Forshaw and Rhythm have brought to the table recently. But wow, they have been on it. I mean, it is easy to be on it when you're in such a commanding position. Even still, it's really nice to see from this team.
And we'll see this again. I think once the Pop Blossom goes down, Bulldog Academy are like, yes, we must fight now.
I don't mind it, to be honest, because they're taking a low odds fight, but it's the best one you're going to find right now. Unfortunately, Loopy is an unkillable wall who has a lot of disruption on the front line. So this Yunara can't really play the game.
Lore accurate Scion.
Yeah, he's I'd say he's taking Bulldog's Academy's crown, but they don't really have a crown to take, to be honest. So it's just going to have to be Jarvan 3's crown in his jaw right now. as we're seeing.
Actually, it's Jarvan 2's crown.
Oh, is it? Oh no, I failed the lore quiz, have I?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. As Good Chi break into the base. It may not be a King's Crown that they are taking in this game, but I think they'll be more than happy with putting a 1 in that wins column for this series. One inhibitor has already fallen. Loopy shoving in the bot wave also. A charm will land, but yeah, this is a Scion that is not taking any damage unless you put 5 members worth of her into him, which they simply can't afford to do. There's the charge going forwards. Magpie trying to make space for sure, and Loopy are just unassailable at this point in the game. Harakari TP's in after taking the top turret, but it is simply not going to matter. It is too little. It is too late. As the jump forwards, the Pot Blossom will keep Bulldog Academy in the doghouse as Good Chi close out game number 1. One step closer to proceeding along in the lower bracket.
And Brackish, this is fearless, right? Faulty, we've only seen the Orianna. That's the only other champ we've seen out of him, assuming Heimerdinger is getting banned. Is Ari and Nico off the table for the next game?
Oh, yes. And you have to think that's sort of a cold shot from the side of Good Chi. They take Mike off a lot of his comfort. I still, in this the sub-recesses of my brain, I think I have a couple more characters that he might be able to play.
Yeah,
but they require very specific situations.
I was specifically mentioning this split, right? What we've seen out of him this split.
Yeah.
We are seeing an Orianna Nocturne combo coming out. I'm a little worried for how Bulldog Academy are gonna play next game.
Well, it's going to be a little while before then, but of course, got a little bit more to come. J-Real and the desk going to have plenty more to say about what has just transpired. Over to you guys.
Well. Okay, I like the draft more. The gameplay, maybe not so much. You know, look. Let's take it from the top. Let's start. First of all, I said 2-1. Let's start there. Second of all, it was a good start from Bulldogs. I feel like they had some moments in the early game temporal.
They did manage to capitalize on a little bit of overextension from Good Chi, but let me shed some light on this situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's not as much light as I need. I need more light. They only managed to do that because of how absolutely pounded that bot 2v2 was. That was absolutely painful. Good Chi were well pushing the envelope. As now I can see the beautiful rainy scene outside. And it's a bit difficult. I'm not really sure where Bulldogs were meant to get in there. I think we sort of spoke about trying to use initiative and speed to try and get over things. And that's a big burden of execution. They didn't manage to find this match.
Yeah, indeed. And I feel like, you know, putting the weight on the Yunara predominantly, it was quite difficult for that mid, you know, to get it done. And I feel like Harold, at the end of the day, like, it did just come down to execution and the fact that, like, you know, it was just much easier for Good Chi to play their comp. And also, like, the pressure. Like, let's talk about that, because, like, the snowball that came through, like, it gave a massive lead to Good Chi, and then it was really hard for Bulldogs to kind of play the game at all.
Yeah, honestly, we're watching the early game. Yeah, that had a lot of good early game fights, trying to find the pick, trying to find the player out of position. I had a few comments about Forshore's positioning in the early game when he had no backup, or his backup took even 5 seconds longer than, you know, that is backup to come and to arrive at the scene. And then it kind of just didn't matter, because in every single lane there was a slight advantage building up on the side of Good Chi, and advantages on the side of Good Chi mean a lot more as soon as you get to the first team fights, because the Scion becomes unkillable, the Talia becomes a zoning monster as soon as she completes the second item in the Rylai's, and this Varus kind of became this force of nature that was completely out of control. Hubris first is not something we see often, because it is very much a flip item. As in, you don't get any kills, you don't get anything out of the item.
You mean
most of
you
the
don't
time-
love Sword of the Occult in the year of our Lord 2025?
No, I am an enjoyer of consistency and not flipping things. That is a lie. I flip every single lane I play, but
Well, let's have a little look at the replays. Like, let's go back in time. Let's run it back. Let's bring up the first VT from what we saw. Right, it's 10 seconds or 16 minutes 10 seconds in the game, not the clip. And like the Herald, it's a bit of a play, you know. So if we can, production, let's bring that one back up. Let's have a little bit of a look here, because I feel like Temporal, like, obviously, you know, I feel like League can often come down to, like, okay, it was 1 to 2 moments where this really changed the game. Do you feel like this was kind of like one of the, do you feel like this is a nail in the coffin, or do you feel like this is like the game change?
I think it was our first big flag, our big realization of smaller leads thrown out earlier on in the game about mid just being in a little bit of a better position, being able to push first. We will get to the replay. It's not quite ready yet. And it's that coming together. Never mind, this is spring.
Hey, you know what?
Spring finals was so much fun. We can't wait to see you in
There it
Stoke-on-Trent
is.
again. But here we go. Talking of seeing you again in the river. Bulldog do manage to get over the wall and get into position, but it's by using that ability to come forward. They're still not over the Talia stones. They're just onto them. A little bit more of a struggle. The Scion, the front to back that Harold prophesized, is there. And that is the struggle indeed, as Bulldogs repelled at 3-0. The Herald picked up mid T1, already down. Powerful stuff.
And like you said, right, as well, like, the Trundle was doing a lot. The Trundle was doing a lot in these fights, and it's just like, man, what is this guy? Like, he just runs around, hits you in the head, bites you, takes your AD, then, like, steals someone's tank stats. Like, obviously it's a lot of, like, stats, like, gameplay, right? Like, you are just basically, like, outnumbering people. But it's just, sometimes it's so effective, and it's kind of just, it feels a bit troll to watch. Let's roll on to the second VT, though. You know, it wasn't, no, that wasn't really supposed to be a pun. Don't get sad, Harold. You know? Don't get too worried about it, you know. It is just how it is. Like, I'm just calling the shots, but now we're calling the shots on this second replay.
yeah, and here, like, they try and dive the Talia, which I guess is a play you can look towards, but Gurash sidesteps everything. He has still the Seraphs available, the Rylai slows come through, and then it's just the backup comes through from the Nico, so you just look to extend the fight. This Nico has a lot of money in the inventory, and then the Varus comes through with a collapse. 2 items already completed at this point. Yeah, another kill for the Hubris, and an extra 2 AD to throw onto it, and that's just kind of how the cookie crumbles. You keep giving resources to the Varus in a composition that is designed to protect the Varus and have him free hit against your team. This is kind of just how the game ends. The Varus hits you with an arrow, you lose 50% of your HP, and then you're like, well, now I have to do something. You pull a trigger in a fight, but you're already starting a foot with a foot tied up in a bear trap, basically, because you're 50% health. You're not full HP. You're just so easy to take down. And yeah, I mean, this is kind of what we were prophesizing as the major issue of you let them get to a point where they can create enough space for the carries to free hit, and you're not going to get through the wall.
Well,
so
they weren't able to break it down in game 1. It was held strong by Gucci. Let's have a look at the player of the game, though. We did have a little chat about that one. I'm going to bring this one up on the screen, and boom, Rhythm pops up. You were talking about the Varus Harold. Like, you know, you talk about Rhythm in general. It's a pretty good stat line to have.
I mean, 500 gold per minute, over 1k DPM on your combat game to the 4 nations. Yeah, I would say Rhythm's back. You know, finally Gucci have put the dancing shoes on. So yeah, I mean, the performance was just excellent. Of course, like, there were doubts as watching the game, you know, with the hubris rush and everything, but kind of just worked out. A lot of damage coming through from a Varus that is not definitely necessarily building for the damage per second, or like he's building for the poke. That is kind of just goes to tell the tale of how damaging that poke was at some point in the game. So, but
it's a statement return, isn't it? It's
yeah.
powerful stuff.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna add on them.
No.
I was like, okay, yeah, he's about to go on his rhythm tangent. He's about to be like, yeah, this guy's just kind of popping off. We're welcoming back to the league. But with that being said, we are gonna go to a short break. When we come back, we will be here to break down how it can all change in game 2, or maybe it can't.
It could, but Harry Carey's pool is getting already pinched. The Sion's gone, the Shen's gone, the Cho'Gath and the Volibear were banned. What else do you got in store? Loopy has a deeper champion pool than what it looks like out from the outside. So it could be another time of Loopy will just out frontline you and Rhythm will just out damage your entire team on his own. But maybe the Bulldogs, maybe that looked really promising in the early game. Maybe he can pull out something a bit more snowbally, something like the Viego, maybe something like the Nafiri, to just try and take over the early game and then take that into the late game.
Well, we'll find out. More thoughts? Conjure your own in chat. We'll see you soon. And we are back once again. It's game number 2 on the line, and this is do or die for Bulldogs Academy right here. If they lose this game, they are done for summer. It's goodbye. We're not going to see you until potentially winter or potentially some other stuff in the future. However, they could come back. You know, there is a world. There's 3 games on the board. This is still winnable. This is still playable. But what I want to hear from you guys is, how do they do it? What do they need to change from game 1 to really give themselves opportunity in game 2, Temporal?
We saw a game plan that wasn't quite executable. I think it's a bit sad you can't like pull a Scion composition yourself. And a lot of like a cookie cut of this split was either banned away or is hard to formulate for this team. I think maybe sort of an Aphelios Thresh control mage setup, because even if your opponent's like Dane that the most likely thing you're going to do, there's a lot of flexibility in the individual champions, not necessarily the roles. I want cookie cutter gameplay with the champions you can get your hands on, and maybe a little more energy in the sort of early game, because we had 2 lanes with heavy prio. The last one was Shen Scion that Scion could get out of. We want to see some action there early on, that Bulldogs can come around like the threats we mentioned in pre-show and make a difference, make a tip of the spear to follow along.
Well, we'll see. Let's go into draft though. Let's get this one underway. Let's have a look and see what we decide to pick, because Harold, I do feel like draft will play a factor into it. Like, I think last game there definitely were some components that, like, I think just aided the side of Gucci a little bit more, as we are. Remember, it is fearless as well, so let's not forget that one when we are looking at this pick and ban. But here we go. Gucci on the blue side, Bulldog on the red side. Does that give you any kind of change of mind, change of heart, any favor over from you, Harold?
I mean, they could try and give I could say they could try and give Harikari a winning lane matchup, but they technically had the counter winning lane matchup from the game previous. So honestly, this could be another opportunity for Gucci to maybe look and be one of the stronger picks on the patch, and then just keep targeting out the player that you're looking to attack. It clearly seems to be Harikari getting singled out. It now needs to be a question of does Harikari do the same thing he used to do in the jungle and kind of just pick these champions out of nowhere? Maybe a Kane top just got buffed, maybe a Corky top lane, you know, one of these, some more of these obscure picks. Or do you go back to standard? Do you go back to team fighting? Do you early pick a strong bot lane combination and a priority mid lane with a strong skirmishing jungler? I mean, this is kind of where on the scale, it depends on where the scale you are. Are you going for the standard? Are you going to play for the meta? Or are you going to play for your own strengths and just go for it?
If Bulldogs are going to pull it off twice as well, you got to start metagaming and mind gaming yourself. We're not quite ready for picks to come through yet. It's a super question, right? If you're all Bulldogs and you actually want to win the game and then have enough gas in the tank for game 3, we're going to have to start thinking about making sure the bans like shape the enemy team a certain way. You'd probably want to remove Misfortune amongst other things, because you just don't want to get smashed 2 versus 2 if you are going to play through that angle.
But I guess there's also that thought process of maybe you don't play for that whole we need to be ready for game 3, like just send it for game 2 and then see where you land, like if you win game 2, right? Because like at the end of the day, like there is no game 3 if you don't win game 2, and I'm kind of on the perspective of like, if you do win game 2, maybe you find out a lot from the enemy team where you're like, actually, okay, maybe it's not our A star picks, right? Maybe it's not our S tier, but actually like we have things that we can use here. And obviously like Gucci are going to lose picks as well. It's not like they are like this champion ocean team that just play everything and anything. So it's a sentiment where, okay, the pools could get pinched, but I'm like, you know, just send it. Just have a moment to be like, actually, this is our game, let's take it.
I mean, the idea is that once you're at the elimination step, you have to take every game as a best of 1. That's like in my head, that's like the kind of mentality that you need to have, because what else are you gonna do? If you lose, you're out. If you win, you just get to keep playing another best of 1 win, in which if you lose, you're out again. It doesn't really matter. So maybe you do go for something a bit more ballsy. So maybe something a bit more special. Maybe something more of a pocket pick that you're just feeling it in your gut that in that moment it's just gonna work out. You know. Maybe we're gonna see something crazy. Maybe we're gonna see something like Tarek Yi. I don't know. That could be a possibility.
What are you foreshadowing? What kind of awful?
He's ready for the
lane are you
sauce. He
like-
wants a set piece of all
Stop
time.
giving me this. No, because next is gonna go further than that. It's gonna be like Tarek Yi with like Ivan. We're gonna go back to the farming meta where Yi takes mid lane and takes jungle, and then you get like a Kayle top lane, and it's gonna be all kinds of madness from Harold here.
What about Karthus Sona?
Yeah, I'm for it. I'm not sure it's the one, but I'm for
I
it.
don't get
all
it.
the same.
What's the link up between Karthus Sona? What am I missing here?
I don't know. You just give a little bit of stats to the
Hateful
Karthus.
bot lane, isn't it? How dare you be upon the minion wave? That's not acceptable.
Well, maybe
yeah.
we'll see something crazy. Like, we're not okay. It's not gone that crazy. Tarek has been banned, so there's no Tarek Yi. Urgot and the Victor are off the board. Hybriding as expected, Cho'Gath and Volibear. So no bans have changed. We're going to see the Wukong picked up by Gucci. I've got to love that pick a lot. And the Zyra taken by Bulldogs. I wonder if it's going to be a mid lane Zyra Trajan special.
I personally don't think so. I think this is going to be a Zyra jungle after the buffs that she has
Yeah,
received.
probably.
Wukong hates playing into AP jungler, so you know the pick makes sense. It's straight up for basically just 1v1 at this point. Well, not really. You just out tempo. You're gonna out skirmish just because of the power of the plants, and the Ezreal picked up for DDD. You're setting up a really strong poke comp already. You know what doesn't really go well against the poke composition is a melee composition with very little engage. If you just that fixes things. That fixes a lot of things.
Yeah, moving over to the delivery system. You can get the shockwave off before Zyra gets to repel everyone. Yeah, she will have to shoot in the darkness with the roots to try and deny that coming forwards. Interested to see what Gucci pair with this. Now that you can see likely the bot lane and definitely the Ezreal, it might be time to hammer down on a more concrete carry that, while not as mobile, can certainly 1v1 the Ezreal.
Maybe we'll see a Kai'Sa coming through. There's already a lot of CC to set up maybe that killer instinct.
Maybe. You know what? I actually kind of like that. I like the thought of the fact that they could like kind of dash through a lot of the setup. However, the Senna coming in does open up a lot of options. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of the Senna, if I'm honest, but I guess you do get that kind of like slow laning phase against the Ezreal, so you're going to be allowed to stack. You're going to be allowed to scale.
I think when I say concrete, I had in my mind like I had Misfortune, I had Aphelios, I had big casters that can swing big moments. But is there a more reliable weapons platform in League of Legends than Senna that's a bit fed, that cannot be approached, that can manage the complete front to back? We'll have to see. Twisted Fate lock-in does come at a bit of a surprise. The champion's had a little bit of love recently.
And it does fix the approach thing. Who needs to walk up when you can just teleport behind them? So, maybe it sorts them things out. I will say, though, I am looking at Bulldogs Academy team right now, and I'm like, who's standing at the front? Because right now there is a lot of damage coming out and a decent amount of control, but not a lot of who's blocking Wukong with the Oriole.
Are we picking Maokai top lane at this point if we're banning the Ornn away? You have first pick out of second phase. Why would you take away probably your best pick
I think it's time for Harry Carey to just 1v1, to be honest. You might be feeling the ego. You might be saying we don't need setup. We need damage.
Maybe he needs to go for the true 1v1 and fly down to the tropics at around Rio de Janeiro latitude.
So what do you want him to pick, right? Because obviously you're saying Ornn, they've already banned it. That's gone. That's away from the table.
I think the Tryndamere line, I think top laners like
Also
that, maybe
banned.
Darius.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
could she see this one coming? It's a little bit telegraphed.
Another tanking banned away. I'm not sure. What what are you picking here? Because you're banning away 2 tanks, so you're not picking something like Darius. You're not picking Renekton because Renekton has the winning early game against these 2 picks. So if you do
Not
want
picking
something
Camille.
that you can set up, you're not picking. Well, you could pick Camille, but then you open up to a possibility of a Malphite or a Jax getting picked, unless you R5 it.
Well, surely
Not
it's
sure.
the support here, right? Surely it's support here. You lock that in. You give yourself a nice lane. Maybe pick something that can roam. No, they're just going to go for the Jax. I am not the biggest fan of the Jax pick here. I think I would have preferred the support. to
We're
be locked in.
blinding Jax.
Singed Loopy, lock it in. Let's go.
I mean,
No
Rumble, Malphite. What's left really that Loopy plays?
Malphite would go crazy.
I mean,
Malphite
would
is
go
insane.
crazy here. Like, with the setup already, with the Wukong plus the Orianna, the center on the backline, and the Nautilus into these squishy people that want to auto-attack Maokai. Yo.
unless you're running into a Zyra support Silas
Alpha
jungle.
even.
That's the only issue I see with this is if it's an R5 Silas and then the Zyra gets flexed. But
Ooh. Ooh.
I'm not sure I'm
okay,
ready to
okay.
believe.
That's a thought. That's a thought.
Yeah,
Mundo
I think
also,
Mundo.
I think does pretty well.
Yeah, I think Mundo is the better bruiser of these 2 champions right now. Just the way the game is, just doesn't have to commit
fun
anything until after 3 Qs have landed.
fact, Mundo is a losing matchup into Jax.
Ah,
But
maybe
much
in solo
losing,
queue.
though?
Maybe in solo queue. I'm not sure that's correct.
Well, lately with the Blade Rush lethal tempo Jax that has been kind of rising in popularity, the Mundo is starting to tone down his potential, and we're R5ing Rel into Mundo Wukong.
Okay.
I
Leona was
this-
right there,
this
my
is-
friend. She
this
was
is what I don't-
right there.
I just don't understand why we didn't just R4 Rel. Like that's just my takeaway. Maybe okay, you two actually are the perfect people to have on my desk right now to answer my question, because I've never been a coach, right? I've never done draft, okay, except for in solo queue. Like, and that doesn't mean anything. But you two have both done drafts. What is it with, like? I feel like I see it a lot of times where like R5 is used for a pick that I feel like is not that controversial. Like, for example, my biggest pet peeve is Orianna R5. Oh god, I hate Orianna R5.
Oh no, R5 can be alright. When you R5 something that normally comes a bit earlier, you're sort of saying this is as good a game as it can get for this, rather than this pick can't fall down very much. And the reason for not picking Rel here is the Nautilus would have been something else. It would have been a Leona, could have been a Janna, and if for Magpie. So while it isn't the most controversial pick, at least it has not been capitalized on much by Gucci.
Yeah, I think the big thing that comes with R4, R5 is you're spending the 2 bans you have to set up the R4, and then you're using the R5 to be basically like, okay, you get to look at their entire composition. What is your pick? What is the thing that is going to round out our draft? In my opinion, this was not used properly in this case, I'll be honest. I do think going for the Jax blind is...
Yeah, you're right that it's good to
Interesting.
have both of it,
Yeah.
both ends of it either defended or blind, so that like both are sort of unrespondable. But at the same time, you've got to try and generate advantage there. And Harry Carey has got his work cut out for him. That is the strongest carry, I think, on this team. We'll see how Zyra goes. Maybe Death can make something flashy happen there. But otherwise...
Now, I will say last time I was on broadcast, I was very much like, the team that's got the better draft is going to win. They didn't.
Oh no.
I'm not telling you who that was. If you knew when I was last on, you know who that was. So I don't know. It's not all cut for me. It's not all cut and dry for me for this game. You know, there are, because I feel like there's a lot of moving parts for Bulldog Academy, right? Like Zyra is a bit weird. People aren't playing against it all the time. Jax can start to take over a game. Twisted Fate, again, another pick that isn't super common. So I do feel like there's a world where maybe it catches them out. But we will see. We're going to hand this one over to Braxbrit and Rory. Take us through game 2, which could potentially be the last one for Bulldog Academy.
Yes, indeed, Jay and the desk. Bulldog Academy on the precipice of an early exit from the summer split playoffs. Rory, there was a draft that happened of all time. I remember words from the desk of like stock standard, cookie cutter, and none of those apply.
Okay, what did I just watch? Right, like they pointed out Jax on the R4. It gets answered by a Mundo. Mundo gets smashed in lane by Jax. So this is the biggest. I don't think your top laner is very good shout I've ever seen in my life. Like, once Mundo gets 2 items, he starts beating the Jax in the side lane, sure, and like he kind of takes over the team fight. Fine. But you signed yourself up to a losing lane, which is a bit weird. Bulldogs. Imagine this. Your TF walks forward, and then a Nautilus ults him. What's really protecting your Twisted Fate right now? And the answer, if you're relying on Strangle Thorns, is not an answer. Because that's so much of Zyra's damage.
Yep.
I mean...
Yeah, going back to the Mundo as well, it's interesting because where does Forshaw want to play this game? Are you going to try and fix the Mundo's lane? Because, like, Senna Nautilus isn't winning bot lane in the early stages, right? Like, they'll probably be able to go even, but are you getting kills in that lane?
I think Forshaw could definitely... I think if you focus bot lane, 100% you can just bully out this Rel. Right? You can bait and engage, get her flash easily, and then Nautilus Senna actually has pretty decent rundown.
True.
So, with a Wukong on top, I hope we don't see another 0-9 Magpie game. But if that's where Gucci decide to pull their resources, we may.
Yeah, Rel, a champion very good at going in, doesn't necessarily have the greatest tools for getting out, although better than a Leona, who just you're in or you're dead, or more likely both.
True.
It's the realistic life of tank supports. It's like you go in, you die, you've done something useful, good job.
It feels rough to be forced to pick Rel here. To be honest, like
so if we were to jump into hypotheticals, if you're in this situation, okay, first half of the draft, same, can't do anything about that. You're on R4.
Yeah.
What are you doing on R4?
I'm crying and saying, you know what, it's good night. When you have Zyra TF locked, you're a bit like, right, so my middle and jungle don't win their 2v2. My TF needs to get priority over an Orianna in lane in order to get good destinies off. And if I ult top, I can't stun a Mundo most of the time.
Crush. Okay.
So, what's really the plan here for Mike? Honestly, I'm watching with bated breath to see how Mike pilots this Twisted Fate. And honestly, couldn't massively surprise me. And that's really what I'm hoping for here. As we're seeing a bit of a fake engage here, Mike maybe just looking to get a ward down on some Raptor camps, but it's going to get spotted out by the Nautilus. Dredge line
immediately hooked. There's no follow-up CC, but Mike has to burn Flash immediately.
In an Orianna
5 minutes without that in a mid lane where, okay, like, Wukong Orianna doesn't have hard CC pre-level 6, but you are now going to have to live in constant fear of a warrior trickster from an unexpected angle.
But, like, Orianna has some of the best laning guaranteed damage there is.
Yeah.
And Twisted
Sometimes
Fate...
you don't need the CC.
Twisted Fate, pretty squishy of a champion. Like, he doesn't have a ton of MR. So Chorus just... it's lane right now.
Walking, as we said.
Yeah.
And just having to now deal with that.
It's a bit of a slideshow going on.
Into Orianna.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so Harry Carey able to knock off the passive off of Luke, but like briefcasing, this should really never be walking up. I'm really hoping he doesn't get baited into just blunt force traumaing the wave and putting it in a position where Harry Carey says, you can't do anything about this now.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I'm really interested in how good Chi are piloting around their jungler, around Foreshore, because Senna Nort can't get you as much pressure as Nico Varus, right? So we may not see the guaranteed dragon that we saw in the last game.
I would expect to see the first one go, but it really depends on what happens in these early stages. Of course, the lack of hard CC on the jungler is something that needs to be watched out for, as Magpie making his way up towards mid lane. Mike, as we said,
he has no flash.
Having a mildly miserable time of things.
He's down a whole wave already. And now half a health bar.
Yep. Harry Carey continuing to bully Loopy in the top lane. As was foretold, the jump going forwards, though, Death has shown up in the bottom lane, and quite simply, Rhythm not got anything to say about that. The tempo is set to 0. 0 means death.
So actually, honestly, really nice by Death there, because Zyra can clear so much faster than a Wukong.
Oh, yes.
And Wukong has been tracked his entire time he was down in that bot side. You're able to find this space for the Zyra to play with, and Magpie, yeah, it's just a flash rel engage. You know, it's cut and clean. We've seen it a million times, and just really nice overall. Meanwhile, in mid lane, Mike's suffering still.
And he's going to continue suffering for the foreseeable, I think, until Death gets in there and forces Korosh's flash, or just, you know, puts the man on notice. Because he has been completely... He's probably just vibing on
Loopy might die.
Not worrying.
Loopy has to be quite worried here. Now that his passive's dropped, that passive is on about 45-second cooldown. So if Harry Carey can get a flash stun in... Okay, no, Loopy's going to play it safe.
Yep.
Going to take the reset, yeah, because remember, Loopy's running Ghost. So if he gets caught out, can't really do much against instant burst.
No. Level 6 coming up quite close. Nice little jump out buffer on the Arcane Shift means that it's going to be Chompy who's taking much the worst of the trade there. Both supports have opted for the Aftershock though, so going to be a bit tankier when they get their engages. You can see Rhythm is trying to grab souls, trying to put some damage down, but the range of the Ezreal is making that quite challenging for him.
For sure in the area, but Death already finishing the second clear here. Will meet equal level, but I'm pretty sure Zyra is pretty happy. This turns into a 3v3, and it is.
The jump forwards, though, is turning into an isolated 1v1 and 2v2, and Magpie does not have a flash available. It will be Rhythm taking revenge as Foreshore stops Death from joining the play.
Yeah, really interesting. So DDD being forced to Arcane Shift in there, knowing Kakachi's as good as gone if he doesn't try and get really aggressive. Now, Death's going to help him try and push this wave.
I like the step up. There's to catch another great buffer on the dredge line.
Foreshore was spotted.
Foreshore. He's going to jump forwards anyway. Not respected by Death. And that's a second kill given across to Rhythm. DDD as well. Still lurking, looking for cues, I suppose. Going to clear out that control ward. Resets now are coming through. Harry Carey, very low on health. In fact, I was under the impression that he might not have even burned TP yet. No, he has come back to lane and then lost that much health.
Yeah, he's just been tanking briefcases to the face. Just, Loopy's just hostilely taken over this lane. Harry Carey, yeah, just does have the sustain. Sure, the Sheen's nice for damage, but Mundo's shock attack reduces incoming damage by 75%. And you can guarantee that Grey Health pop because the Jax is a melee champ, so that instant burst isn't really there for Harry Carey. You're going to see this first dragon now going over to Bulldog Academy, a much nicer start for BGDA in this early game. As immediately observers doing me dirty as they pan over to the a heavily losing lane. Sure, Shockwave coming out.
Catch the damage, has to step away immediately though. Death is going to try and get the root down. It is sidestepped so casually by Kurosh. He has a flash available as well. Mike has his though, so probably not something worth committing. Forshaw, however, has stolen away the red buff. Immediately going to have to use the Warrior Trickster to get out of dodge, though. Magpie going to follow over the wall. Shattering Strike lands onto him. Death misses again with the Strangling Roots. Not able to find... Wait.
Destiny coming out. To
No,
TP
it's
back
just to come back
to
a lane.
lane.
He is just... He needs another TP, apparently. He needs 2 of that Summoner in order to survive this early lane.
When I was stuck in Plat, I was playing a lot of TF and Talia. I distinctly remember one time I used my ult back into lane, and I think the worst words I've ever read on a screen came out from my team to flame me when I did that. So hopefully Faulty's team is more understanding, as we're going to see the grubs being started up here. In a 4v3 though.
There is the numbers advantage. Crush is trying to find the way in. No level 6 on Magpie, but he's firing across. Dawning Shadow puts the damage down. The healing is there for so long. Death stays up, but not long enough. DDD trying to play forwards, but he is left behind. The rest of his team still so focused, it seems, on taking the grubs. It's one apiece right now. Chompy trying to step this one away. The flash from Harakari will secure that, but Kurosh is still here doing all the damage. There is an ultimate available as well. He's not even going to use it. Double kill for him. Rhythm still stands also. Good Chi take the better of the overall trade.
Wow, messy that fight. So it starts out in a 4v3. Really nice crash down from Magpie. But Death's already heavily chunked. The only reason the heal comes out here, I'm pretty sure, is last hitting the Void Grub. So it buys a bit of time, but not enough. And then it's just absolute domination. The Senna is stronger than the enemy AD carry. The Orianna is much stronger than the Twisted Fate, who's just sitting on a Catalyst at this point. So it really has nothing to provide to the team. Yeah, Faulty's... Well, Mike's just not able to do anything here.
It's a valiant effort.
While the Jax does get 2 kills, Mundo is now amassed a 25 CS lead.
Yep, the top laners are, of course, going to be left in 2v1s right now. The last, the Void Grubs, and the point will be picked up by Good Chi. Worth pointing that the feat of Warfare has gone to them also. They're just going to hard dive onto Harakari as the turret gets tanked up just the right amount, but you've got to be careful about this because it's still ramped up. For sure, will be just fine. Able to step away to heal back up off the camps.
Solo Bolo.
And Mike caught on the mid lane. It's a 4th for Kurosh.
Yeah, Kurosh is just completely running this game right now. Was gifted a flashless enemy mid laner from Bulldog Academy, trying to place vision, but not applying the buddy system, and that TF getting caught out. As we've mentioned quite a few times, I feel, on this cast, but it's been so influential overall, especially when you now look at the item difference in mid lane. That's an Archangels versus a Catalyst and Ionian Boots.
So much about the movement of Foreshore into the jungle here that, well, we perhaps haven't thrown enough credit on this mid laner. We did highlight it in game number 1. Harry putting the damage down. Loopy, though, going to drop the maximum usage into the fight. Dawn Shadow comes over the top. Doesn't land the damage to Jax. Mum, kid, stop fighting, or so help me, I will turn this car around.
But that is a massive win for Mundo, right? Considering the health that he's getting off maximum dosage, Harakari can't stay in this lane, but Mundo absolutely can here. So is recalling on a ward? Loopy's spotted, but Harakari just being bullied off. It's brutal. For those of you who don't know, Forshore's going to take a tag this, okay. For those of you who don't know, you might see Loopy's inventory and go, hang on, there's not an item that builds out of 3 giant spells. Essentially, Loopy is going the Warmog's build, and in order to proc the Warmog's passive, you need an additional giant spell. So it's mathematically best just to rush 3 giant spells, because your abilities, well, your E specifically, the bonus AD scales off max HP.
Dragon has now spawned. It looks like Good Chi do want to fight for this one. They're making use of that extreme mid lane pressure that has been leveraged by Kurosh, now walking in, of course. Mike is there. He can lock in a gold card at any time.
Vision.
It's going to be so hard for him to walk in. As you say, Forshaw is now positioned on the blast cone, looking for the angle in. Doesn't quite get the Cyclone off in time, and it will actually be picked up by the side of Bulldog Academy. It's now whether Gucci want to continue this play. I think the very obvious answer is no, as the damage will come through. One more hit will do it. DDD is able to secure the kill on to the support. It's a support for support trade, but most importantly, Bulldog Academy do get to hold on to their dragon stacking.
And this is massive, right? Gucci had a flanking Wukong who wasn't on any vision. TF hadn't popped his ult yet, but had a kind of idea of where the jungler was. But still, for sure, gets interrupted by the Stranglethorns as he comes in, instantly can't get onto the back line deep enough, and it kind of all falls apart from Gucci in that fight. Loopy, now getting the first tower, is critical for Chi, because it means you can accelerate this top laner, who can later join team fights and be so much more of an influence than the Jackson. Still 30 CS up on Harry Carry.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, he's probably about even in terms of gold. The 2 kills there for Harakari, evened out by the... Yeah. Actually, maybe slightly ahead, because he got all of the plate gold as well.
Yeah, so each kill is worth about 15 CS in the early game. Yeah, around 50, excluding cannons, because the math gets a bit weird there. So if you consider the fact that...
It's good napkin math.
Loopy hasn't lost any plates, but Loopy's gotten quite a few of them. That's a 750 gold lead. If my maths is right.
It may well be. Right now, just keeping an eye on the rift, as we saw Kurosh trying to push for an extra plate, isn't quite able to do so. Minute until the Herald comes up. That's why we see Bulldog Academy playing so hard towards the top side of the rift. Death is very much spotted by the side of Gucci. I don't know if he knows that.
Be an excellent bait if he does. He's just like, come on, Chompy. Flash. Oh no, Mike's getting hunted down again.
Hi, Mike.
Forshaw's in the area, but I don't think it even matters.
The command attack, simple enough. 60% of his team's kills are sat on Kurosh right now, dominating 6-0. Death now looking for the angle in. Rhythm should just be fine. It uses the flash. That's a lot committed.
That's too
as
deep.
Forshaw walks in. Magpie will be fed to Rhythm. Objective bounties coming available as that 5,000 gold lead is crossed by the side of Good Chi. And now the Herald is as good as theirs again. They make the play happen. They take the fight. They win it. And they're ready for the objective straight after. DDD actually being chased away from his mid-tier 1. Good Chi identifying. We can get so much more than just the Herald here.
Yeah, and look, the pincer that's going on right now. Bulldogs are trying to get
that
around
pincer, though?
onto the Orianna.
Forshaw needs out. The flash will keep him safe for a second. Mike tries to find the angle in. Harakari jumping onto the back line. Flashing forwards. Kurosh is really strong, but he's got no flash. The shockwave will keep him alive for a moment longer, but the follow-up from Death will secure that, and perhaps a little hubris creeping in from the side of Good Chi. I was gassing up their ability to see what they could get, and they overplay it. They overcommit it. Bulldog Academy now pick up the kills and now pick up the Herald.
But, right, that's about a 900 gold shutdown towards Death, which is huge, right? But Loopy just picked up 900 gold from a tower in the bot lane. So overall, you're only up a Rift Herald as far as gold influence really goes.
And well,
now, Death
any gold that could be picked up is potential gold currently.
Yes, and
it's
Death
held up
has
in the
been,
air.
Death has
It has
been the
gravitational
driving
potential.
factor. Death has been the driving factor this entire game, right, for Bulldog Academy. Almost every good thing that Bulldog Academy have pulled off so far, the Zyra has been near. So her picking up all that gold and now completing the Shadow Flame, surprised not to see the Rylai's, but it's fine. Picking up the Shadow Flame is huge. It's massive, and really most of this game rests on Death.
So the lack of Rylai sounds to me that Death has identified that he just wants to play the mosh pit. Like, doesn't necessarily worry about the chase down too much, just wants the most damage he can possibly put in a very small area as the fight over the third dragon begins. Gucci currently have the advantage position, but Mike playing off to the side. Is Loopy taking a chunk for his trouble. That is a lot of damage onto a not very tanky Wukong, though. The shockwave is great. Can they keep running it forwards? It is full retreat, apparently, the call for Bulldog Academy as Loopy walks forward. Double kill for Kurosh. They lose their jungler, but they take down 3. The dragon will be a formality for them. They deny the stacking. No soul point for Bulldog Academy.
It was looking really good until it wasn't, right? Loopy walks really far forwards, takes a huge amount of damage, but with that second rank in maximum dosage, doesn't really care at the end of the day, is able just to tank up that Zyra damage like he doesn't care. The awkward thing for Bulldog Academy is, look at TF in this entire fight, he's not in it. He throws 1 gold card, and then a Q, and then walks around the back of the pit while his entire team are fighting. So this Orianna can just walk as far forward as she likes and get a huge shockwave. And then the chase down from Senna just is huge, right? She has the static shiv, so all her damage is bouncing. And yeah, Gucci are just taking over.
Yunara not the only champion with the damage bouncing around. How is the Senna stacking going, though? We're at 18 minutes. We've got to be, what, 6, I would expect?
I'd say around
50
between
around this
55 and 65, yeah. It's been a very bloody game, though. Remember, Senna's been
true.
part of 12 kills. So that's
We'll
a
keep
lot
an eye
of
on that
souls
for next time
in the
that Senna appears in our bottom left. I mean, Rhythm, 418, doing some great work. We even see a Medjai's picked up by Kurosh. I think it might have been picked up before some stacks were lost. In fact, Kurosh is actually being kind of bodied in the top side. They found him all on his lonesome in the top lane. Harakari is the one to pick that up.
The moment
No objectives coming up for a little while yet. 30 seconds on Atacon joining us. Bulldog Academy. They have perhaps decided on a new playstyle. Just play picks on the sideline. That's something that the TF, even without his damage yet, can still very realistically contribute to. Death. Please tell me he knows. He does not have flash available. The route is good. The damage does not land. The CC does not land. The plants will be an obstruction. The TP from Kurosh into the mid lane. Harakari, of course, is away in top right now. Does not have his TP for another 30 or so seconds, but Atacon has spawned in the top lane. It's Harakari trying to recall, pick up whatever items he is able to get. Warhammer is picked up.
We're taking this?
Apparently.
Oh,
no,
we're going to go
just
through.
Playing for the bounce house. Running all the way through. We try and rejoin your team. Just about runs it around as Harakari is coming out of the base now. Shelly will not get a charge onto the turret. But, boy, did that get Chi moving.
Yeah, so I think Death hopped in the Herald being like, right, time to take tower, and immediately saw 5 people slowly walking at him and went, you know what?
Just like, abort, abort!
Let's cause an automotive accident there and just drives into 5 people. At the end of the day,
I think the only one causing vehicular manslaughter this game is going to be Loopy, though.
Oh, absolutely, because he's just going to be running over them come 4 items, let's be honest here. We've all seen what a Mundo is capable of. Harakari still being able to push in the bottom lane, and this is where I'm a bit confused, but no, they're forcing the fight now.
The ultimate landed, the flash away, the hook does not find its angle for sure. Getting the shield put on Harakari, trying to join in on the play. They step away, hook does not land, stun lands, that's the damage coming through. DDD is the damage threat you were looking for, I think, Rory, as the ultimate from Mike is used to go farm the top wave.
So the Destiny there was actually really clever because he was basically fishing to see if the Wukong was going to use Trickster. So if For Sure decided to engage and go invisible, then the Destiny would have picked him out.
Mike needs out. There is a flash available.
There's a shockwave too.
Chompy not going to be able to find it. And look at the gold difference. Bulldog Academy have slowed this game down very successfully. The gold lead has fallen down to about 3.5k. They are pushing waves. They are the ones that I would argue are actually having more control over the tempo of the game right now.
Yeah, so I was hoping to bring it up just before Chi engaged, but they've had looping mid for so long, right? Harry Carry has been free farming in the side lanes, but because Good Chi have gone, we're stronger, we need to force a fight, they call for the 5v5 mid. Then they got
Problem is,
Vision.
look at the wave clear. You've got a Zyra with 2 items. Flash
that's
hook.
Flash.
This is smelling so badly of desperation, or we're not sure what we can do if we don't get a pick here.
This, though, gonna
As
force
the
the
flash
flash
away,
at death.
Harakari is just using that little alcove to his advantage. The next dragon is coming up shortly. Good Chi. Perhaps they'll want to play for that. Atakan was a bridge too far for them. A second Mountain Drake would be very, very nice for their front line. Seems right now this. Yeah, Bulldog are moving away. Perhaps they're going to go, hey, well, we're going to go and do the Atakan if you won't.
I don't think they'll go Atakan, but I definitely think they'll control Vision in the river here. TF has ult, so they might go
Putting
for a
the stuns
play.
in. Strangle comes through. Loopy is taking real damage, but the healing is just so much. The engage is still being found. Harakari onto the backside, healing so much with the Sundered Sky. It is Bulldog Academy who are completely in control of this game. Good Chi, your advantage means nothing if you're not going to do anything with it.
Good Chi, I think, have massively thrown their gold lead with the decision to call everyone mid for so long. Harry Carry here, with the ult, with the Sundered Sky, can live for so damn long. The Bull is not really able to find much pressure in this fight. Massive shutdown as well, going over to the Zyra. Dude, that's 2 900 gold shutdowns he's claimed this game.
Yep.
He is so far accelerated, even though For Sure is doing work. Like,
if that right there, Rory, wasn't one hell of an ad for Sundered Sky plus Triumph.
Look, as a tank player, I don't like Sundered Sky. I don't like Divine Sunderer in the iteration before it. I don't like Blade of the Ruin King. I think healing items are cheating. And my most played champion this split is Mundo. So maybe I'm a bit of a double-edged sword when it comes to healing. But
hypocrisy much? I mean, I suppose you said healing items.
I said healing items to be specific, Your Honor. But
Warmogs, though. In combat healing, I guess.
Yeah, true.
I know why I'm trying to make an excuse for you.
But yeah, I find this item so damn strong. And honestly, if Harry Carry, I really wonder where he's going next. Is he going the Zhonya's? Is he going the Death's Dance? Because he's got the damage right now. All he needs is to be a better frontline for his team while Kakashi builds towards that locket. Because, let's face it, your team doesn't need more damage. They need more time to buy. So you need to get your long range on your TF to hit those important gold cards. That's in the process of being built now. And I would hopefully say you need either a Zhonya's or a Rylai's on this Zyra so that she doesn't get caught out and basically most of your AP damage falls through the floor.
Yeah. It is something that could become a problem a little bit down the line. I think from what I see in Death's inventory right now, I see an Amp Tome and I see a Cloth Armor. There's only really one thing that could be. I think I would generally prefer, as standard logic tends to go, you get the Arm Guard and then don't upgrade to Zhonya's until you've used it.
Yes, I definitely agree. But
just like get a Blighting Jewel in there before you finish the Zhonya's.
A Blighting Jewel? Okay.
You're talking about the magic damage sort of not mattering as much. Just that pen might have to be a major consideration.
Yeah. Also, I've been quite harsh on him this game, but Mike is bringing it back, right? The TF passive is doing wonders. The TF passive is doing wonders to get him the gold he needs. He's almost stacked up his Rod of Ages. the Lich Bane now, sure, you can do a bit of extra AP damage, that's fine. But yeah, going towards third item, I know that Korosh has spent a ton of gold item-wise, like Deathcap is the most expensive item in the game, but even still, if your Orianna can't do any abilities because she's stunned the whole game, I'd say this TF did a better job.
Yeah, I saw the 2 daggers for a second. I was like, what's that build into? And then I remembered that there is no way that you're not building rapid fire cannon.
It's just too damn good. Right, good cheat. Loopy, finally in a side lane. Love this. Has the teleport so he can follow a TF. Yes, what's all well and good but? I felt a big but coming there.
I mean, where's the pressure? Baron has now spawned. Okay, cool. Both Harakari and Mike have 3 ways between them of joining the fight. 2 TPs and a Destiny, and they can just go, press Destiny. Oh look, you're taking Baron. And with full and complete knowledge of the situation, we can make our call. Right now, though, okay, pushing out the bottom lane.
He gets
put some good damage down. I don't know if he'll be able to get the whole thing down before Loopy gets there. I mean, it's a 2.5
Yeah, he does.
Jax, probably.
It's his passive. It's so good.
The question is now, does he get out after that, I suppose? It seems that Loopy is not going to be too interested in chasing all the way through. So we have 4v4s in and around mid lane. The True Shock Barrage gets thrown out by DDD to keep this pressure. And again, Bulldog Academy are forcing Good Chi to be where they want them to be. They have now taken the gold advantage. Up until just a few seconds ago, that was very much not the case.
Absolutely. Like, the way Bulldog Academy have pulled back, I think it was a 5k gold deficit.
It was.
Wild. And
objective bounties were up.
Objective bounties, they claimed champion bounties quite heavily throughout this game, which has really helped them. But I just find it wild that Gucci, your Orianna was getting solo kills, right? Never mind, we're seeing a big fight coming out here.
They really committed hard for this, and it will be Magpie that is the price that is paid. This bot will go down. Okay, he can get out easily enough, just needs to have something to jump to. There we go. Wow, hook. Put the fear into me. But death, cold as the grave itself. Meanwhile, that was a 4v5. Mike pushing in the top lane right now. However, support being down means that Good Chi feel emboldened to start the Baron. There is the Destiny coming through. They'll keep the eyes on it. They see it's not going down all that fast. That is one thing that Good Chi are going to struggle with. There is the TP, as you say, from Harakari. Mike peeking his head around the corner. Loopy now trying to put the damage down. Maximum dosage running straight forwards. The shockwave is dodged away from, but Death is really not going to be able to do much more. Kurosh barely surviving the damage. Harakari trying to chase it down. The Jax is not going to be able to do it. Kill secured by the side of Good Chi.
DDD has no mana.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, DDD, no mana. Loopy can just press Ghost and run at him. Magpie is trying to make space for him, but there's only so much you can do about Amundo. I was about to applaud that Bulldog stopped the Baron, but they can just walk right back to it. Foreshore is fine. There's a TP coming in. There's still a Smite available, and now 3 members of Bulldog Academy are in the dirt. Death's not going to be up for another 10 seconds. There are no TPs to speak of. Oh, well, Mike has one, but what's he going to do?
It was just a bit overambitious to go for that mid lane tower, I think. You're really looking for picks at side angles with the Twisted Fate and the Jax flanks, right? If you just play a front to back, the Orianna's just going to rip through you. The Senna is just going to rip through you. And that was Bulldog Academy's big mistake. As now, I think we're going to see another 5v5.
Harakari and Death are coming in. We're waiting on DDD. He has a longer death timer than the others. They're just trying to be disruptive. Rhythm and Foreshore putting some good damage down. Catching Magpie finds the Magnet Storm onto 4 is able to step away. Loopy, however, is too tanky. Magpie barely survives, but the hook will land onto Death. He isn't able to live long enough, though. DDD comes in, full health, full resources. I'm going to start putting this damage down. Death
Loopy's
is
healing
still
up.
up. Forshaw is still around, looking for the angle over the wall, trying to get in. It's not going to be enough. Soul Point is secured. Forshaw will get taken down by Death. Baron, as an aside, Bulldog Academy, they keep swinging. They are scrappy. They are fighting like any good British Bulldog would. And sometimes they're winning.
Okay, so Ezreal's not in this fight. It's a 4v5. But Harry Carey's able to land a great stun paired with Magpie. Now, the issue is Zyra doesn't have Stranglethorns at this point, so I thought they massively jumped the gun. But no, it's such a good zoning ult here. That means they can just take out Chompy. They don't
Zoning
really
ult.
care. And then look,
Zoning ult
your
altogether.
Senna's your Orianna's caught on vision over the wall, and then for sure, honestly, I respect it. It's fine. I don't mind going for the steal here when Baron isn't up. But yeah, that's 3 dragons over to Bulldog Academy. And I've got to ask chat, are the dogs gonna do it? I need to hear, do we have a lot of Bulldog supporters in chat right now?
We'll find out shortly. The question I've got, in a fight like that, look at how big your Senna is at this point in the game. Like, you are not going to win a fight unless the Senna is actively engaged. I don't care how far ahead you are. I don't care how powerful Kurosh is at this point. Push coming through.
Shockwave.
Death, taking about 2/3 of his health from 2 ultimates. Has to flash away. Flash was also used by Magpie as the first inhibitor turret dropped. DDD is being left as the sole person to defend the mid inhibitor. Luffy is not going down anytime quickly. Mike trying to put the damage into the healing is simply too much. The inhibitor goes down. DDD is able to jump forwards and pick up the kill. But again, at what cost? As we look to the other side of the rift, one inhibitor has gone down. It's like for like, though. Mike looking to try and find an angle. He gets caught by the turnaround, though. The Cyclone is doing its grim work. Going golden is Death, as Magpie trying to hold open the space. Rhythm doing great damage, but DDD on the Ezreal is going ham. DDD all the way through to the SSS. It's smoking style as he takes down the tail end of the fight. Inhibitor for inhibitor turret. And a fight that Harakari was not present in. Bulldog come out on top.
No, but it was really huge that Harry Carey. He got a tower in response. He also pulled Kurosh, who's so much of the team's damage, away from the main fight, which meant they could get the collapse onto Forshaw. Really nice turn, by the way, I think, from Forshaw onto Mike, just overstepping a little bit. And once he paired up close enough to the center, and Nautilus was like, we can re-engage, we can fight it. And my God, I gotta say, if Bulldog Academy go out today, they put up one hell of a fight.
Game is far from over, Rory. We can make whatever speculations.
That's why I said if. That's why I said if.
A Nexus falls down. Bulldog Academy still have their paws on this game and on this series.
Oh, what is coming out from DDT's build? Because I'm seeing a Tiamat right now. Now, normally I'm seeing 4 fighting for an Ezreal Guardian's Angel.
I'm trying to recall.
That's not
Does Caulfield go to Ravenous?
I think it's a Ravenous build, yeah. Which is really interesting. Just to help with the team's wave clear, I guess. But you have a Zyra,
I don't
you have
hate
a
it.
TF.
I mean, Harakari caught by 5 off to the side. He can get to the blast cone, but will he survive? No, he will not. Magpie, Chompy rather, cuts off his escape, and that is a big part of Bulldog Academy's front line removed. The top tower now being pushed in. The top inhibitor will be threatened also. True Shot Barrage will thin the wave greatly, but there's so many beefy frontline members that taking down the tower is kind of a formality. Look towards the bot side though. Mike was doing the side lane dance as they have done so many times earlier in the game. 30 seconds until the next dragon spawns. It would be Mountain Soul for the side of Bulldog
Wow,
Academy
that's
if
a
they were to get it.
teleport.
TP being used towards the bot side. The inhibitor turret has fallen down. Kurosh now without that cooldown.
He has
Mike
Destiny,
needs to get
though.
back to his team though somehow. He is getting collapsed upon. Gonna be able to get out. Play towards and around the bottom side of the Dragon Pit. In fact, he's still looking for that angle. Destiny
going for the
being
inhib.
charged through. He's going back to the inhibitor.
Oh, lovely dance here from Mike.
Death,
Recognizing. Oh no, Death.
He's gonna get caught. He has no flash. He can go golden. His ultimate will do some work as the inhibitors are being knocked down. Mike will be able to pick up 2 inhibitors. The push is still
That's a
coming
lot of
through.
pings.
There isn't a TP available on Harakari, unfortunately, so there's no threat on an ended game from the side of Bulldog Academy. Baron is now up. The pings coming through. Death is still in the grave for 35 seconds. This should be a pretty free pickup for them, although resets have had to come through. The play may be delayed for sure. Stepping forwards, looking for an angle towards DDD. Magpie considers looking for the engage. The engage now onto the Baron would be a second for good chi. Bulldog Academy don't want to let them have it for free. 7,000 health and counting. There is no way Death is going to be able to get involved in this one. DDD tries a cheeky little mystic shot to pick it up. Will not be able to do so. Soul point now for both sides. A second Baron for good chi. They are back in a 3,500 gold lead, Rory. What's your thesis on where the game goes from here?
Okay, so honestly, great heads up awareness from Mike. Like, the sagacity of that was so nice. Ulting back in to get the inhibs might have just prevented this Baron from being the end of their game right now, because that top wave evenly pushing against each other now. They only really need to worry about the mid-wave Baroned up super minions. Now, yes, Death did die, and he gave Baron, so that sucks. But Nautilus invested Flash. Maybe in the next few minutes we can see some consequences coming of the support not having an easy escape out. However, Harakari, if you just walk into that
Not
bush, you are
again.
dead.
Not again! I've seen this story before! Magpie trying to give him a way out. He goes golden for a moment. Another hook lands though. Chompy having absolutely none of it for sure. We'll pick that one up. The identification from the side of good chi, where the opposing top laner will be, to put 5 boots into his neck as he walks towards the bottom lane.
Loopy, if he just walks up here, can interrupt Death's base. This is
just
going to be
DDD.
another inhib.
It is
just
solely
Israel.
DDD here to defend. The Drew Shot Barrage will come across, but these are Baron empowered minions. This inhibitor turret should just drop down. Magpie has joined. Death is now back, but they are watching as their inhibitors fall. Mike has come back into the base also, trying to put some damage across for sure, taking a chunk, but Kurosh deletes Death. Loopy putting the damage down. The Magnet Storm coming through. The follow-up damage isn't there though. Mike jumping forward. He's able to secure the kill onto Rhythm, but Loopy has the maximum dosage running.
Loopy's
Magpie
huge.
is not able to survive. Mike is not able to survive. Harakari has respawned. The game might not end just yet. Rory DDD gets engaged upon. The damage is there. For sure falls. Harakari, I believe, has himself. No, of course he doesn't have the arm guard. It
Sterix
was
was
already
blocked.
expended. DDD now needs to try and put the damage onto 3 members. It's not going to be enough. Rory, despite 37 minutes of back and forth, Bulldog Academy, they scrap until their last breath. But the chi is good, and they are the ones who advance in the lower bracket.
Yowza. What a banger of a game, Brackish. The back and forths there. I mean, that's why we're all here, right? That's why we love a bit of professional League of Legends. You know?
This is why we're here.
Oh.
This is why you all came here on a Thursday night to the Four Nations as brought by the UKEL. Tragic end to the story of Bulldog Academy. Let us remind ourselves the story of the split for them. They came in a team with no expectations. They got 0 wins in the spring split. They narrowly escaped demotion. They come back in and they show so much nerve and gut and resolve. They play their way through a very solid league stage. Unfortunately, not enough to stand up against Good Chi. They advance, I believe, face Broad in the next round of the losers bracket. We'll leave that to the desk.
Yeah,
Any last words from you, though, Rory?
The rest of the tournament just needs to be that, right? Complete, absolute chaos.
Give me 20 more games of that, and
Honestly,
that will be a fantastic end.
I'm kind of gutted we
Summer
didn't get
25.
Game 3. If Bulldog Academy won that, we got a Game 3, I would have been over the moon.
Same, honestly. I had so much more in the tank for that. Not to be, unfortunately. Jay and the desk. Let's reel back from that. How did that go down?
Well, I guess we finally get the answer to who let the dogs out. It was Good Chi indeed. It's a rough one for Bulldogs, right? I feel like they made their play. They did what they did in the regular season, but in the playoffs, it just was not it. I'll be honest. I get what Rory's saying about the fact that it was fun. It was back and forth gameplay. Good Chi need to fix up some.
It was a bit of a howler, wasn't it?
Yeah, they could have definitely lost that game, which should have been an easy win. Like, they were so far ahead.
I think we managed to see the grand tour of how to play 1, 2, and 3 lanes, sort of like a macro flip book from minute 25 through to close. And I think Good Chi shouldn't beat themselves up about it, but that's certainly going to be a detailed review in post.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot to comment about sometimes not pulling the trigger, sometimes pulling too much of a trigger, and just maybe not really leveraging the power that your composition has at that point in the game with the lead you have at that point in the game, forcing into these 5v5s where it's a flip. And you're in these situations where one missed skill shot, one unpredictable play coming through from, flash counter strike coming through from the Jackstep, flash engage coming through from the Rel, it can kind of just flip it, and you're playing into the enemy composition strength instead of letting the Mundo do his work and sticking together as 4 and just saying, oh, you either go deal with him or you deal with us.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Let's go straight to the VTs. Let's run this first one back, because I feel like you said, it was a game where we got to see a lot of different looks from the two teams, because it did start out so good for Good Chi, and then we kind of, it was basically, in my opinion, Good Chi's season in a nutshell. So maybe they're going to win the whole thing because they win at the end, but they started off great and then it had a bit of a dip temporal.
Yeah, we saw like the confident early game. I think the Grubby's fight was pretty good. They get the Cyclone into the back. Senna has so much space here, even though Rel walks at her. So much freedom. DDD falls down as well, who has been throughout this game sort of the counterpunch, punishing the overextends. And while they do eventually lose Foreshore, this movement back towards mid does just favor them. Faulty, stuck in no man's land here in the end of the sequence. It's just really difficult. And while it would get later on, that was the source of our confidence in Good Chi early in the game.
Yeah, and I feel like it didn't really stop just there, right? We've got VT2 ready. Let's just run that one straight through. I feel like they just were able to pick up a lot of momentum, and it's kind of what we talked about in the first breakdown of game 1, which is that when there was that momentum lead, when there was that pressure on Bulldogs, it felt like they weren't really able to kind of step up. They weren't able to take on the power that was being shown to them through Good Chi, and I feel like Harold, it did ask a lot of questions. Had Bulldog won today, right, it would have definitely asked a lot of questions, especially around their early game pressure. However, Good Chi, obviously, it has given us an insight as to how they do really well, as we are going to roll the second clip.
Yeah, I mean, this is just, the Korosh getting a lot of pressure on the sideline, forcing to fall back from the turret, and it doesn't really matter. You just have so much pressure in every other lane. You're just holding them to account in mid, and it's just you're able to just make these plays around the map. And then this is just the the fake out coming through, earning double sums, but getting a kill in return and 2 flashes. This is a rhythm back. It truly has those dancing shoes on. But this is
hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, but this is really just what Gucci were looking for. You were looking for side pressure, forcing a mistake, and or over forcing a play somewhere else on the map. Because Bulldog, they do recognize we have to make something happen. We're losing, we're bleeding resources on every other side of the map. We need to make something happen. And then it kind of Gucci were able to punish it up to a point. And then they were forced into those fights. They bought too much into those fights. And Bulldog were able to just bring it back slowly but surely. The gold was pretty much even up until the last 2-3 minutes of the game, even. And then a business convention came to town, let's say. Yeah.
And I gotta say, right, well, like we talked about how to play the map, right? Temple. I feel like that was something that you brought up in the agreement that we should talk about before we get into the final VT, which is that like it did feel like Gucci got a bit lost in how they should finish the game, because like they had so much time, they had so much space, and then they just kept giving ground back up to Bulldogs.
Yeah, when they had the Destiny sort of on top, you don't want to assemble a group that is like under threat. Mundo should be pretty empowered to be on his own, especially if he's against Twisted Fate. Where the gold card and sort of slowdown can't really stop him from just pushing a minion wave and advancing, delaying the Destiny, or if the Destiny comes through, you'll be coming through at lower health, and you won't be the threat, you will be under threat. We didn't really see this utilized. We saw Kurash have to TP back to towers. We saw a few recalls that probably didn't need to be taken if you weren't in the main group in the first place. So it was a real struggle to sort of see them pulled around the map, and it did cost them some inhibitors.
It did indeed. But let's go to the final fight. Let's roll that last VT, because this is how it all ended, right? It did finally come down to a fist fight with the numbers in the advantage of Gucci. And Harold, like, I've got to say, like, it still shows the Bulldog, they had some capabilities to try and make something happen, but look at the damage that Gucci can just wheel out, really.
Yeah, I mean, when the Orianna is just able to one-shot your Zyra and you lose a lot of your wave clear and a lot of your damage at this point in the game, it's kind of over. And at this point, Loopy has scale. Level 18, 5-item Mundo. You know, he's talking to you about spreadsheets. He's talking to you about so many different formulas that you can use in Excel. And at the same time,
APIs.
And he's at the same time he's putting you in your grave. But the Valiant last stand, it's not enough to stop the push from coming through, and she just ended out, you know, using their advantage that they accrued about 20 minutes prior. They end the game.
And, you know, equalized. It was nice to see Bulldog sort of keep on till the end and keep trying. It's a tough place to be, but the growth split on split, even though it ends here at the bottom of the lower bracket, can't be contested. You equalized against a team that has beaten so much of our top half, and after a fantastic substitution in as well, and it's a big win.
It will be indeed. But let's have a look at the player of the game. I feel like we said, there were some things that went wrong, some things that went good, but I do think that this one was fairly deserved. And I feel like just in general needs a shout out, because I feel like Loopy has been such a good player for this team.
I mean, he, as you said, he flies under the radar, but he is able to show up when it matters. He's able to do the thing that the team needs him to do every single time he's asked of. You know, we saw it in the first game. Sion just able to absorb so much pressure, create so much space for his damage dealers to make things happen. In the second game, on the Mundo, we have criticized a little bit of the Gucci mid game, but then in the late game, we saw just fearlessly kind of just making sure that the enemy carries could not get in the fight and just looking forward to end the game. You know, I do think there's a lot to speak about in this game, where there are situations where, yes, this could have been played better, yes, this could have been done in a different way. But at the end of the day, it is Gucci that come out on top with the win. And I do feel like Loopy giving them this stability in the top side is one of the major factors, because we saw flips coming through from almost every other player on the side of Chi. Even Korosh found out of position a bunch of times. Even Air, in some situations where he wasn't able to free hit, he wasn't able to find a space on the Senate to make the team fight happen. But, you know, it felt that it was this consistent force in the fight, in every single fight for the side of the Chi, and at the end of the day, you slug it out, you win it out.
The Madman of Zorn, indeed. Let's look at the MVP for the series as well, if we have that one ready and locked and loaded. Okay, that one's not working, but we can reveal that we would have given it to Karosh. Let's bring it back to us for the final breakdown of today then. That has been our lower bracket. It is completed, that round one, so we now know who is going on to the next stage. If we can actually bring up the bracket graphic, even if it's not been completed, let's just get this one up there so we can talk about what is happening next on your screens in the UKEL. We are going to see Gucci, as you can see in the bottom, go all the way to take on Brod and Friends, so a bit of redemption arc needed for them. And in the upper bracket, we do have Belfast Storm and Inquick taking on who will go to the grand finals in the fastest way possible. And then obviously we do have the other lower bracket of Rise Gaming and Venom Crest. A lot of games left to play, a lot of good League of Legends in the UK scene, and I'm excited for all of it. But what are your final points on today, guys? Harold, you can go first.
I think, bravo to Bulldog. Duked it out until the end, showed real character, a lot of growth in this split, so farewell to them. And on the side of Chi, lots of great adaptation, lots of promise. Need to tighten the reins a little bit, but good promise and banger matchup coming up 2 weeks, next week. Not sure.
Every week, Harold. Every UK game is a banger.
Every day.
That is true.
And any final words from you, Temporal?
I was starting to get a bit sick. You guys have kept me going where paracetamol could not, and it was beautiful to sort of see. I think Bulldog shouldn't take this too harshly. I think we mentioned twice already, but the arc from not winning a single game to like looking competitive in lower bracket games, you can't snap your fingers and just be best team overnight, and to do it with 4 or 5 of the same players. Huge W. Good Chi. I've got a mountain to climb, as we've had a look at. I think also Rise and Venom Crest it's going to be a tough game. We've seen such high highs from Rise, and Venom Crest have got a big way to rise to meet it. There we go. There's a bit of wordplay, even though I'm struggling through this headache. The upper bracket finals as well. Very excited. I still can't believe this Inquick team is going so deep. But here we are. If